Hello, state experts. So you have already learned about the location, the climate, some places to visit in your state, and today's research topic will be history. So let's start by taking a look at your note taker together. As always, it tells you some great sources to check out to get more info about this topic. And then it gives you some specific questions. When describing the history, here are some details you should look for. Who were the early settlers, the first people to come to your state? What are some important events, and what year or date did they occur? Who are some of the most important people in your state's history? Why are these people important? And how did your state get its name or nickname? Now we have a purpose for our research, and today we're going to talk about the research skill of combining multiple sources. So let's think back. Last video, we talked about what a credible source is. Do you remember what that word means, what a credible source is? It means a source that you can trust to have accurate information. So we talked about if a website has a .gov or a .org instead of just a .com, that means that it went through many more, the founders of that website went through further vetting and more thorough steps in order to get that .org or .gov status. So those are ones you can trust. Also, ones you can trust, because your teachers have vetted them for you, are the State Project websites 2021. And this Google Doc is shared with you. If you just search that title in your Google Drive, it should pop right up. And if you're on a specific website and you ever forget how to get to your state, be sure you read the details below. Like for Chevrolet software, I know sometimes it can be tricky. Students weren't noticing you have to scroll down. And then on the left side of the page, you'll see the states listed in alphabetical order. Find your state there. Okay, but today's teaching point is that researchers use multiple sources and may adjust their reading style depending on the source they're looking at. So let me show you with my state, Illinois. I pulled up all of the websites that are recommended on the top of the note taker. Let's start off with PebbleGo and check out that history section. I actually had already used my heading, that text feature, to jump right to it. And I'm just going to scroll through so you can see the paragraph about the history of Illinois on PebbleGo. Keep that in your head, and then I want to show you Worldbook. So Worldbook has an introduction. I'm going to go to history, but actually, just so you know, the introduction will usually have a lot of good historical facts right there in the introduction. So that's worth paying attention to, or maybe searching for keywords. You might have seen I just closed it, but I had searched for the keyword doing my Control F to find nickname, and there it gave Illinois' nickname. Remember, that was one of my questions on my note taker. Okay, but let me go to the specific history section. And I gotta close out of that. Once I'm in history, oh, not letting me jump. Yours should let you jump straight to it. I have to scroll down a ways, but we will get there. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's the history section in Worldbook Student. Keep scrolling, keep scrolling. Okay, so which of these so far could you tell seems more advanced and which one seems more simplified? You're clearly noticing that this Worldbook Student is a more advanced or detailed resource, whereas PebbleGo is a more simplified. There was really just one paragraph. The paragraph below is about government. So that means we need to adjust our reading style. When you're reading PebbleGo or a site that has just a few paragraphs, you'll need to read the entire paragraph or paragraphs slowly, carefully, thinking about what's important, asking yourself those questions readers do to make sure they understand, right? You're asking yourself, do I understand what I'm reading? If not, reread. Can I make any connections here? Is it brand new? And asking that as you go through, But on a site like Worldbook, since they have so much information and we know our purpose, right? We read the questions in the note taker. They're very specific about what you're responsible as a state expert for finding in your state report. And therefore, on this site, you're going to want to skim it a little bit more. If I know I'm looking for key people, well, from Pebble Go, I would have just read about Joliet and Marquette. So then when I'm reading this or skimming this section on here, I'm going to pay close attention to when those names pop out. Oh, this might be one I want to read a little bit more to get some background on exactly what their exploration looked like. I also know I'm looking for key dates and years. So, oops, I didn't mean to click on that. If I spot a date in there, I'm going to stop and pay attention and read the sentence around it to see if that seems like it was actually an important date in all of Illinois history. Let me show you a couple more sites. This was the Teachers First, and again, I clicked on the history section. What are you noticing about this one? Kind of in between the Pebble Go and the Worldbook. So I might not read every single paragraph, but I'm again going to pay close attention when names or dates pop up and get a good sense for what's around it if that's something that was really important. And then Shepherd Software, show you the history. That was a simplified one. I'll want to read that. Oh, actually, I jumped to South Carolina for this one. But I was doing that just to test out. Shepherd Software is a great place to find your state's nickname and how it got that. So you can answer that question probably right on there. The Worldbook introduction sometimes has it, but Shepherd Software, for a few that I tested out, had it. But again, this is a simplified version. I will want to read this entire thing very carefully because it's going to give me simplified, consolidated information. And then you, as the researcher, have to decide what's important for your report based on the purpose that you're reading for these questions here. And then when you've gotten good background knowledge, you've pulled out some details that are really important, then you go write them down. So let me show you how one researcher did that. This is an example for the state of New York. So let me zoom out just so you can get a picture of these notes. And what do you notice as you look through? You pause the video to read it a little more carefully and be thinking about what you notice. Maybe some things you pulled out were that the student checked off the questions after responding to them. Again, we see those categories, the use of headings or categories like you've been practicing. She chose early settlers and important people as her category. Maybe you'll want to have a category for dates. She kind of just worked years and dates into her discussion of the people that were important to the state, but you might want to fully separate out a section on dates. Depends on what you find in your research. Okay, so you also might notice she used bullet points and she capitalized any proper nouns. Her work is pretty neat, but it wasn't everything. If we looked at the Worldbook article for New York, it would be 10 paragraphs, right? She didn't just copy down those paragraphs. She had read through and pulled out the most important information about her state. So that's your job going forward today. And be sure you do check out all these resources mentioned. Do you have to read every single word about history on every single one of these resources? No, that's what we practiced. We said good researchers pay attention to the specific source that they're using and how to get the most out of that source, whether it means reading every word, like in the case of Pebble Go, or if it means skimming for important people, important dates, like in the case of Worldbook Student. Happy researching!